Hello students, here we are at day one, week one of COM 525, Visual Communication. And so I have created a Canvas site. I hope you have visited it. In there you'll find a syllabus. You'll find both a Word document copy of the syllabus, and then there's a Canvas page copy of the syllabus. I'll talk a little bit about what the syllabus says. And then I have an agenda for week one. And so today, all I'm going to do is just kind of go over those agenda items and tell you what each page in the module for week one has and what sense you might make of it. So let's see, who am I? I'm Dr. Tim McGee. I have a PhD in rhetoric. I work in the Department of Communication and Journalism, a couple different courses, including this course. As I said in my introductory video, this will be the fourth time I've taught the course. It's the first time I've taught it online, but I first taught online about 22 years ago, so I'm pretty comfortable doing this. As the syllabus says, we've got a description of the course. We've got contact information from me. The best way to contact me, aside from during office hours, would be through email. There's a phone number there. It happens to be my cell phone number, so you could text me. But I look at text messages maybe once a month or so, so that's not going to be the quick way to get to me. There's a course description, there's course objectives. We talk about the meetings. So the course that I created in Canvas is divided into modules based on week. So here in week one, we've got an agenda for week one. You've got things to read, things to view, things to write, things to do. So in addition to that, in addition to this sort of video that I'll record each Monday and put there at the beginning of the week, I will be holding virtual office hours on Wednesdays. Right now I'm going Wednesdays from 6 to 8 because that's convenient for me. If it's not convenient for you, then I can pick another time. And those virtual office hours, I will be initially using the conference feature in Canvas. So if you wanted to, if you just happen to be in the Fine Arts Building, you could drop by and have non-virtual office hours and meet me. But if you wanted to just check into the conference session, I could meet you there and we'll see how that works. If it turns out that this synchronous session Wednesday is not a good day for many of you, but another day might be better, I can change to another day. The texts for this course are going to be all in Canvas. There's going to be PDFs, there's going to be URLs to web pages, etc. There are going to be videos. So I expect you to log into this site probably 3 to 4 times each week. When I teach this course face-to-face, it meets for 3 hours face-to-face in the classroom, and then the expectation is that I could assign up to twice that length in terms of reading and homework. So that means you could expect to have a sort of obligation of about 9 hours a week. I don't think any of you will actually need to spend anything like 9 hours a week to stay on top of the work, etc. But depending upon how quickly you read and then how quickly you write and are able to produce some of the things that you're asked to make, it could be a fair number of hours per week that you need to commit to it. We've got deadlines that are built into it. We've got what each thing is worth. All those are fairly self-explanatory, except the difference between free informal writing and structured informal writing. Structured informal writing, I will give you a writing assignment, might be 1 page, 300 words, and I'll grade that using a simplified letter grade process. Free informal writings, I'll just ask you to do something. Sometimes it's just a couple of sentences, and that'll be credit, no credit. If you do it, you get the point, and if you don't do it, you don't get the point. But you need to do it on time in order to get the point. We've got visual design projects 1, 2, and 3, and they're worth 10, 10, and 15%. And then we've got a visual affordances of social media report worth 10%. And then there's a final project which is worth a total of 25%. We've got a calendar when all these things are happening. If you look at the calendar, you'll see that there's a gap on April 2, and that was intentional. What happens, even in a face-to-face course, things get backed up, and something that maybe was supposed to happen on March 26th, we didn't get to it. So the April 2 blank is really there to leave space to do something we didn't quite cover, or if something is going to be added into the curriculum. So eventually there will be something assigned to April 2. So I think that pretty much covers the syllabus. This hard copy of the syllabus is fresh and current today here. If there are any changes, they will be made in the Canvas page version of the syllabus. I'm not going to be updating a Word document and re-uploading it. The Canvas page version, which is a live hypertext document, will have any changes there. So let's talk a little bit about the Module 1. In the Module 1, there is an agenda of things to happen. So one is introduction. So I think I've introduced myself a little bit. I could tell you a little bit more about myself. My two full-time positions have been as English professors, but if you think of an English professor, you might think of an English literature professor, and that's not what I was. I'm a rhetorician. And then the specialty, the thing in which I published and make academic presentations, is the intersection between artificial intelligence and language arts. So I've published book chapters and articles on things like grammar checkers and machine scoring of student essays. I've also contributed book chapters to some major textbooks, particularly the one on visual communication that was in the Allen and Bacon Guide to Writing, and then also oral presentations. So I have given public speaking courses here in this department and also at other institutions. So let's move to the agenda. So within Module 1, you have an agenda, and the first thing is introductions, and then the next thing is visual communication. So you're going to have 2 readings this week. The second one is one that you only really have to read half of, but what it does is it talks about visual communication as an academic discipline. And it turns out that as an academic discipline, visual communication has multiple starting points. And some people come at it from the point of view of education. Some people come at it from the point of view of aesthetics. Some people come at it from the point of view of psychology. Some people will come at it from the point of view of marketing and advertising. And so it turns out all these different various influences have kind of coalesced into this field called visual communication. You'll be reading a document which is almost 20 years old now, but nothing like it has been made since then. And it was a survey of the different professionals in the field of visual communication saying, where are you coming from? What's your background? What is your emphasis? So you're going to read that, and you're going to have a short discussion board response to that in terms of what of those different approaches you think is most valuable and least valuable. There is a page on visual literacy. Visual literacy is one of the things that's written into the course objectives that you will know what it means. And visual literacy, the Canvas page that covers it has a video that comes from a particular museum. I think it might be, I'm thinking it's in Cleveland, Ohio, but I couldn't swear to that. In any event, we've got a sort of art historian talking about visual literacy from that perspective. And one of the great things about that video is if you don't already have a vocabulary for making aesthetic claims about visuals, this document will provide that vocabulary for you. We're going to talk about perception and visual communication. There is a reading on which you will have a quiz that will be due next Sunday night, right before this week ends, on perception and visual communication. And there are 3 videos, 2 of them are 2 parts of one video and another video, that try to explain perception and visual communication, because the way that light rays enter your eye and you then turn that into an understanding of something in your environment is actually amazingly complex. And so you're going to be given information on the seeming paradox of it and the complexity of it. And we're not going to go into too much depth, but just to kind of give you an introduction of, if you think it's just pretty simple, light comes in your eye, you see something, and that's how you understand it. It's a lot more complicated than that. There's a module called Introduction to Visual Communication in the News, and that is something that I update on a regular basis. Today, there were 2 articles in the New York Times about visual communication in the news. One has to do with the way that Facebook is revamping itself and the consequence of that revamp to advertisers. And the other has to do with the new sort of brand, the director of a high fashion brand and their image, etc. So that visual communication in the news module will be refreshed on a regular basis. Most of the content is probably going to come from the New York Times, but another source that I might get it from would be the Chronicle of Higher Education. There's another module which is the content of that for the 3 previous times I taught this course. So it's just sitting there. That stuff is now old news, but some of it might still be of interest to us. So when I think we ought to go back and visit one of those, I'll point you to that. You are going to write an autobiography of your preparation for this course. And so when you think of, well, what is an autobiography? It's a story, it's a narrative. You're going to tell, how it is that you are ready for this course. In some cases, you could be very ready because you took art courses as a child. Photography was one of your hobbies. You have taken courses in and you're very good at Photoshop and Illustrator. You like making movies and you're expert with iMovie or some other program. Or maybe none of that is true. And so basically you say, I don't know anything about visuals. Well, it turns out that's okay. There are no prerequisites for this course. But one of the things I want to know from you is, where are you in terms of what you do know and remember and what you do bring to the table, okay? And then there's a semester-long project called Visual Affordances of Social Media Log. And so that's going to require you to first understand what affordances are. And there'll be a Canvas page about affordances. I'll make a little mini lecture about affordances. But an affordance is basically what something can do, such as when you encounter a door, that door affords entering a space, or it affords keeping somebody from entering a space. A button affords pushing. A lever affords pushing or pulling. A drawer affords opening. So different social media afford different things. And once upon a time, Twitter only afforded 140 characters of words. And then you could add twit pics, and then you could add videos. Once upon a time, Facebook was largely short messages, maybe with an image. The piece from today's New York Times talks about it's all becoming video. So what you want to do is identify 2 social media platforms that you already use. And then what you want to do is think about how you're going to kind of keep track of the affordances, the visual affordances. So in my case, I think I'm going to switch to Instagram and Facebook. And so I already know what I think and feel and believe about Instagram and Facebook in terms of my consumption of images and also my production of images. And so you want to be thinking about your ability to consume and produce images in 2 different social media. If you're not using any social medias, you got to start use 2. But most of you are probably using 2 or more. Some of you might say, well, I don't have any time for Facebook, but what I do is LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn is social media, and it has gotten increasingly visual for a variety of reasons. So one of your assignments will be to write in the space, which is your log, which are the 2 social media that you're going to track the visual affordances and why you're picking those 2. Okay, so right now I've been talking for about 13 minutes. I'm going to pause this, gather my thoughts, and see if there's anything more that goes into this message before I save it and post it to the way I'm making these videos right now is I am using iMovie in my MacBook Pro, using the iSight camera. I then save them and publish them to YouTube, and then I embed the YouTube video in a Canvas page. On Wednesday, when I'm having a sort of virtual office hour, I will instead be using the conference feature that's built into Canvas. If any of you have ever used that, it's called Big Blue Button. And so there I will then basically have a desktop, and I'd be able to share my desktop if that was of interest or value to you. And it's quite possible that I might also use Google Hangouts. I don't think I would be using Facebook Live because I can't keep that private. Anybody could come in that. And so basically I think only you and I and members of this class should be in on these conversations we have. There is no requirement that anybody physically meet me in my office hour. There's no requirement that anybody be there at the synchronous time that I have scheduled for my office hours. But if you do, it'd be nice to spend some time. And if you would rather meet me at a different time or have a virtual meeting at a different time, my schedule is quite flexible. And so my promise to you is that I will meet you at times that are convenient for you. So let me stop this first, and it's possible that I might add a little bit on to the end of it. Talk to you later. Okay, I'm confident that I covered just about everything I wanted to cover except for one thing. If you look in the course, you'll see that it is arranged into modules. So we have 13 weekly modules, and each module starts with an agenda, and then it has several Canvas pages. After the weekly modules, that's where you will encounter the first visual communication in the news module. And then after that is the one called VASML. That's where you will be keeping your visual affordances of social media log. The pages there have been created so that you can write to them. And it turns out any member of the class can write to any page. So if you know each other and you want to comment on what your classmates were saying, you can do that. You can go in and delete stuff that your classmate had said, but there is a page history, so I would know if you had deleted things that that person did not want deleted. So I'm going to go in, probably not this evening, but maybe tomorrow, I'm going to re-edit my sample, and then you can get a sense of what it is that I want you to do. And so the first thing that you have to do in there really is just identify the 2 social media that you will be tracking in terms of the visual affordances for both the production and the consumption of text. So I'm going to end this now, upload it, and I look forward to being in communication with several of you soon. Talk to you later.